With a couple months left of the college football season, I want to try and preview as many teams as possible for the 2023 season. We're going to be recapping their 2022 campaigns, looking at the players they lost to the NFL draft, seeing how they did in the transfer portal, and looking ahead to their 2023 schedule to predict how they're going to do. Today, we're going to be taking a look into the back-to-back national champion, Georgia Bulldogs. Before we get to today's video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are that you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. I'm posting college football videos every day leading up to the start of the season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. What team would you like me to preview next? Drop a comment below and they could be my next video. Well, this one is going to be pretty quick and easy. As you know, Georgia won their second consecutive national championship last season. They finished the year going 15-0, their best season in program history. Georgia went undefeated in the regular season, winning the majority of their games fairly easily. They took care of business against LSU in the SEC title game, winning by 20. Their biggest scare of the year came in their first playoff game against Ohio State. They escaped with a 1-point victory as the Buckeyes missed what would have been the game-winning field goal as the clock expired. Had that gone in, the history of college football would be forever changed. Instead, Georgia goes on to play in the national championship where they committed murder on live television, defeating TCU 65-7 en route to their second consecutive national championship. Moving on to players Georgia lost in the NFL draft, and they lost quite a number. Overall, the Bulldogs had 10 players that were drafted this past month. They lost their best player on defense in Jalen Carter, who was an All-SEC first team last season, and was a finalist for the Rotary Lombardi Award as the nation's top lineman. They lost their starting quarterback in Stetson Bennett, who was their starting quarterback for their 2 national championships. They lost starting running back Kenny McIntosh, who totaled 1,300 yards with 12 touchdowns last season. Some other notable players include linebacker Nolan Smith, defensive back Keely Ringo, offensive lineman Broderick James, and tight end Darnell Washington. So yeah, it's safe to say the Bulldogs lost a lot of talent to the NFL draft. Overall, they were pretty active in the portal this offseason. Being as dominant of a team as they are, not many players decide to leave. Still, they did lose a couple of talented pieces. Defensive lineman Bear Alexander transferred to USC. Adonai Mitchell, who caught 3 touchdown passes last year, transferred to Texas. Linebacker Tresmont Marshall, who had 4.5 tackles for loss, transferred to Alabama. Former 5-star cornerback Jaheim Singletary transferred to Arkansas. That really was it when it came to players that Georgia lost. Again, some notable names that would be huge losses for any other team, but nothing major for Georgia. Switching over to the players that they added via the portal, and they picked up some pretty significant pieces. They added one of the top wide receivers in the portal in former Missouri wide receiver Dominic Lovett. He was the best receiver for the Tigers in 2022, catching 56 passes for nearly 900 yards with 3 receiving touchdowns. He was top 10 in the SEC in receptions and receiving yards. They added another wide receiver from the SEC, this one being Ra Thomas from Mississippi State. In 2022, he caught 44 passes for over 600 yards with 7 receiving touchdowns. He was 6th in the SEC in receiving touchdowns. The third and final player they added in the portal was former Texas A&M cornerback Smoke Bowie. He was a highly touted commit who committed to Georgia originally, but committed to A&M instead. He didn't see much of the field last year for the Aggies, but the talent is certainly there. Moving on to Georgia's 2023 recruiting class, and to no surprise, they have one of the best classes in all of college football. According to On3, the Bulldogs had the second best overall recruiting class this past year. Overall, they were tied for second with 4 5-stars and were tied for third with 18 4-stars. I'm not going to list every top recruit they got, but let's just say they're going to be a number of true freshmen who I'm sure are going to step up for them and make an impact in 2023. Alright, so what does the 2023 team look like? Well, they're certainly going to look different on offense. Taking over for Stetson Bennett at quarterback is likely going to be Carson Beck, who spent the last 3 seasons with the Bulldogs. He's gotten limited action as he's attempted only 58 passes during his time there. he'll have some pretty big shoes to fill considering what Bennett did over the last couple of years. Losing Kenny McIntosh will be tough, but Georgia returns their other top 2 options from last year. Kendall Milton had 700 yards of offense with 9 touchdowns, while Dejon Edwards had 900 yards and 7 total touchdowns. I already talked about the 2 wide receivers the Bulldogs picked up via the portal, so they're still going to have quite the receiving room. Obviously, they still have Brock Bowers, who is the best tight end in all of college football. They also return Ladd McConkey, who returns for 1 more season. He was second on the team behind Bowers last year in receptions and receiving yards, and was tied for the team lead in receiving touchdowns. Switching over to the defensive side of things, and this will once again be a dominant defensive unit. Although the Bulldogs had a number of players drafted, they restocked and will be just fine. Defensive lineman Nazir Stackhouse was second team All-SEC last year and was named to the preseason All-SEC first team by Athlon Sports. Linebacker Jameis Dumas-Johnson was second team All-SEC last season. He led the Bulldogs in tackles for loss and was second in total tackles. Safety Malachi Starks is also returning. He was named a preseason first team by Athlon as well. In 2022, he was tied for the team lead with 7 pass breakups and was third on the team in tackles. Alright, so how is Georgia going to do in 2023? Let's take a look at their schedule. And it's pretty easy to say the least. Their non-conference slate is an absolute joke, and their conference slate is fairly easy as well. When looking at this schedule, I don't see too many games that should have the Bulldogs worried. Their toughest matchup will likely be on the road at Tennessee, but that's not until the end of the season. They're going to have 10 games under their belt by that point. Some other games I guess you can keep an eye on are Ole Miss, Florida, and maybe South Carolina. That's really about it. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a loss thrown in there at some point, as anything can happen in college football. But based on how the schedule currently looks, it's really tough to imagine Georgia losing a game at any point during the regular season. I'm sure things will get tough for them starting in the SEC title game, assuming they play a playoff contending team. What happens after that? I'm not exactly sure. Winning the championship in college football is hard to do, especially when you're going for your 3rd consecutive one. Can they win it all again? Absolutely. Will they? I guess we're gonna have to wait and find out. If I were to guess now, considering we're about 7 months out from the national championship, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say we have a new champion in 2024. With that being said, I think Georgia is a lock to reach the playoffs, and I'm fairly confident they'll make it back to the title game. So, what are your thoughts and predictions for Georgia in 2023? Do you think they're going to go for the three-peat? Do you think they're going to make it back to the college football playoff? Or do you think they miss the playoffs entirely? Whatever your thoughts are on Georgia for 2023, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting a new video every day leading up to the start of the college football season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.